SMGs in Destiny 2 have been in a rough spot for a long time now. But you know, back in year one, they were exceptional with a couple of shining SMG models like the Antiope and a couple of Suros and Omlon models that kicked solid butt. But with the exception of the Recluse, they've been pretty low on the totem pole of weapon types, arguably since Forsaken came out in September of 2018. But recently, SMGs received a buff in the form of having less screen shaking, on top of the FOV changes for console users. This basically means they went from unwieldy to pretty controllable, so you can more consistently hit those optimal TTK times in your gunfights. Now, SMGs are not suddenly meta weapons, right? And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not going to try and spin it or overhype it, but I will say that they are definitely contenders in 6v6 environments now. With how usable they are now, on top of the potential perks you can stack, you're looking at a completely different weapon type now. And in this video, I'm going to be highlighting the Multimach CCX lightweight frame 900 RPM SMG from the Iron Banner that recently made a return. And I sat on this thing for a couple of weeks, focusing on other weapons and other games, but this week I decided to take it for a spin, and holy crap, I had an absolute blast whipping this baby around, and it really did surprise me. So let's start with the roll that you're seeing here. I saved 3 of these, but this is the roll that I really enjoyed using the most. It has a perfectly vertical recoil direction of 100, which is obviously a nice thing on something that shoots 900 rounds per minute. It has hipfire grip, accurized rounds, and kill clip, as well as a range masterwork. I went ahead and tossed on a freehand grip mod, and you'll see in the gameplay just how many times I dodge to reload, and then I double jump into the air and just hip fire the weapon with laser pinpoint accuracy. And I really enjoyed leaning heavily into the hip fire accuracy of this weapon, as that's not something that I typically do with weapons in Destiny. But now that I'm on PS5 with an FOV slider, right, I'm learning just how useful it is sometimes to forego aiming down the sights and instead keeping your field of view wider to take in more information and track the movements of squirrely hunters or dashing warlocks or shiver striking titans more accurately without losing them on the edges of your screen. A quick reminder that if you're using a lightweight frame weapon, you automatically get a boost to your mobility stat passively, so you don't need to worry about running max mobility. Drop it down to 80 and you'll be fine. And that way you can focus on boosting your recovery or your discipline stats, because you'll definitely want your equipment cooled down more frequently if you're using an SMG in close quarters. Speaking of which, in this gameplay I'm using Night Stalker, and you'll notice in many of the plays how I'm using my void wall grenades and my smoke bombs to prime targets and control areas so I can push more freely. I really love leveraging smoke grenades and covering my movements. They're severely underrated, as most people currently prefer the slowing and disorienting of dusk fields and shurikens, but after they receive their nerfs in a couple of weeks, I think you'll start to see more people turning back to the light subclasses like this one. When that nerf happens, I recommend giving this subclass another visit. Its utility is in its neutral game, but Tether is absolutely horrendous as a super. Sometimes it does cool stuff, sure, but often it does nothing of value at all. I ended up using the Multimach as a sort of guerrilla style weapon, fast ins and outs, pushes and retreats, just really pestering people to death, honestly. I'd hit from one angle and quickly change directions and push from another, or I'd leverage my invisibility to break an engagement and re-engage on my own terms seconds later. Truthfully, it took me back to using the MP5K in Modern Warfare 2. I mean, I love that gun, but it wasn't top tier, due to how tough it was to use at its intended ranges against other heavy hitters within that range. So I learned to make smart approaches and to get tricky with my movements, and I remember being pretty proud of unlocking all the headshot camos on that thing, and I grinded that out hard. And I think that might be why I enjoyed using this thing this week, and why I racked up 500 kills on this weapon in a single sitting. I really enjoy that level of engagement in my gaming. I love having to be clever and tricky in my gaming and trying to outwit my opponents. It adds a layer of depth to my gaming that keeps me interested, honestly. When games don't give me that creative freedom, they get pretty boring pretty fast. So all this to say, I highly encourage you to take the time to snag one of these next time Iron Banner comes around. Iron Banner Freelance has been an absolute godsend. I mean, I don't really play with people very much. I really don't. I'm a pretty antisocial gamer, all things considered. So being able to go in there and grind out my tokens and bounties has been so nice. Even if I lose there, it's really no big deal. So do yourselves a favor and go hunting for this and a Time-Worn Spire, honestly, if you haven't already. Let me know what you think of this SMG, and hopefully you enjoy the plays in the gameplay. Last time I cut out plays, people asked me not to, so I have a few plays that were pretty neat that I left in the highlight reel with this SMG, so I'll keep rolling to the end. And thanks so much for watching my content. Feel free to drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Destiny content. Let me know if you enjoy the sort of tricky ins and outs. You can see the sort of guerrilla style and the highlights that I left in the rest of this gameplay. Be warm and well fed, my friends, and I hope to catch you in the Crucible. Bye-bye.
Double down. I need a hunter like you with the red jack. That shut them down. Zone C lost. Zone A captured. You have advantage. A victory well executed. Two for one. You're almost there. I need a hunter like you with the red jack. Zone A captured. You have advantage. Now you're fighting with heart, Guardian. 2 for 1. You captured Zone B. You have zone advantage. I need a hunter like you with the red jack. Hold strong. Zone B captured. You have zone advantage. Now you're fighting with heart, Guardian. You captured Zone A. That's a power play. Your legend rose. Enemy has advantage. Double down. You have my respect, Hunter. Zone C locked. Enemy has advanced. Zone B locked. This is amazing. Power play. Keep the pressure on. Zone C locked. Hunters like you, Blake. Zone B lost. Your enemy can't kill if they're dead. Double down. What can stop you? down. Two for one.